All right, so Ezra chapter 3, we're getting into the building of the temple. They're getting everything under construction, putting it together, starting to put their religion back in place, basically. Verse 1, when the seventh month was come and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered themselves together as one man to Jerusalem. Then stood up Jeshua the son of Jozadak and his brethren the priests, and Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and his brethren, and builded the altar of the God of Israel to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses the man of God. And they set the altar upon his bases, for fear was upon them because of the people of those countries. And they offered burnt offerings thereon unto the Lord, even burnt offerings morning and evening. So now they've got the burnt offerings, they've got the altar back up, the horns in each corner, they can set up the fire to do the sacrifices. Um, they're starting to do that, starting to get their religion back while they're continuing to build everything around them. And they did it because they were afraid. So as it says there in verse 3, for fear was upon them. They're worried about their neighbors, the neighboring countries invading them and taking them out because they didn't have a wall around the city to protect them. So they wanted to make sure they could start doing their oblations to God to get God on their side to help them, basically. Verse 4, they kept also the Feast of Tabernacles as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to the custom as the duty of every day required. And afterward offered the continual burnt offering both of the new moons and of all the set feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and of every one that willingly offered a freewill offering unto the Lord. From the first day of the seventh month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord, but the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid. So again, they've got the altar, they can use it to do their sacrifices, to get in the good graces of God, but they still have a ton of work to do. They're still at the very beginning of this construction project. Verse 7, they gave money also unto the masons, to the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon, and to them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa. Remember, Tyre is where Solomon made a deal to bring the ship down goods like the cedars of Lebanon and other things to build the original temple. They don't have the money that Solomon had. So this temple is not going to be as spectacular as what Solomon built, but it's still going to be a pretty good temple. Patterned for the most part after what Solomon had done, basically. So it says, according to the grant they had of Cyrus, king of Persia. Verse 8, now in the second year of their coming unto the house of God at Jerusalem, in the second month, began Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua the son of Jozadak, and the remnant of their brethren, the priests and Levites, and all they that were come out of the captivity unto Jerusalem, and appointed the Levites from 20 years old and upward, and to set forth the work of the house of the Lord. Then stood Jeshua with his sons and his brethren, Kadmiel and his sons, the sons of Judah, together to set forward the workmen in the house of God, the sons of Henadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites and the sons of Asaph with cymbals to praise the Lord after the ordinance of David, king of Israel. So remember, David was a pretty creative guy. He was into singing and dancing and things. So they're singing hymns and songs of praise to bless us, ask God to help us as we are doing his work. Verse 11, and they sang together by course in praising and giving thanks unto the Lord, because he is good, for his mercy endureth forever toward Israel. And all the people shouted with a great shout when they praised the Lord, because the foundation of the Lord was laid. So this could be kind of akin to setting that first stone, getting that foundation in to begin the building of a temple. We don't necessarily have a party around this anymore. We usually have more of a celebration when the cornerstone is laid of the temple to dedicate it and to so it's finished. We do a celebration in our day and age, whereas they would start their celebration when it began. I'm sure the early saints, when they built the Kirtland and Nauvoo temples and things, were similar. As they began, they used it as an opportunity to have a celebration, to celebrate the beginning of the construction of a temple. Verse 12, but many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men, that had seen the first house, when the foundation of this house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar off. So this has got to be amazing to imagine. Imagine you were alive to see the Temple of Solomon, to be a part of that first temple period. Then you were there to watch the destruction of Jerusalem, the Babylonian captivity. You moved to Babylon. Your life was completely upended. You're now in a foreign country with foreign neighbors and different cultures around. You have to blend in and deal with this new life that's been imposed upon you. You live your life. You have this, you've learned how to develop a new way of living in this new world that you're in. As you age, and then you get the chance to go back. And so you go back and you're there to witness the foundation being installed for the next temple, to have it rebuilt. To go that distance without having the temple, without having those rights and privileges, and then going back has got to be an amazing sight. Got to be just an amazing thing for these people to feel. If you've ever lived in a country that had LDS temples and then moved to a place that didn't, and then came back, you gain an appreciation of how it's nice to live close to a temple, and when it doesn't take you a week to get there. So it's got to be an amazing sight. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what would you think if you were part of that ancient group, the older people that were around just long enough to understand and witness the first temple, experience the exile, and then come back and to witness the beginning of the next temple. That'd be kind of fun. So I look forward to reading your comments on that. So let's jump in the next chapter as we're continuing to build the temple and reestablish Jerusalem and get everything back in place again.